Hello?
Hi, do you want to go to a party with me?
No, the game's on.
Oh, I almost forgot. I'll be right there.
We like sports and we don't care who knows. From shooting hoops to the Super Bowl. We like sports and we don't care who knows.
Football, tennis, golf.
Oh God. Welcome back to another exciting edition of Basketball Analysis. I'm Ben Goetz, that is Ryan Falk. We like sports and we don't care who knows.
No, we don't, Ben.
Today we're here to talk about the Big Ten basketball season for 2015-2016. And Ryan, I'll start you off with this. Who are the teams that you think have a chance at the title this year?
Well, Maryland, especially with their freshman Diamond Stone, big recruit for them. Always Michigan State, Michigan's, Ohio States of the world. I think Indiana, Purdue will be a good team this year. Those types of teams, and Iowa can always sneak in there and make a run. But I really think Michigan State might be my favorite team.
Michigan State, I think, is my favorite too. Denzel Valentine has been playing sensationally so far. But an interesting name you didn't mention there was Wisconsin with Bo Ryan. Might be his last year, the Big Ten title team last year, and obviously played in the national final game. But this year, the team doesn't quite have the luster of last year's.
Yeah, losing Kaminsky, losing Decker, I think hurts them. They do, like you said, I think they do still have a chance to make a run, but I don't know if they're going to be the same team that they've been the last couple of years, especially with those two big losses.
Mm-hmm. And then now from that last year's title team to this year's, the big ones are obviously Maryland and Michigan State. The two Big Ten player of the years probably will come down to Denzel Valentine, maybe Melo Tremble of Maryland. When it comes down to head-to-head between those two teams, which do you give the edge to and why?
I got to go with Michigan State for one reason and one reason only, Tom Izzo. Tom Izzo, you cannot bet against the man in big situations. You look at, especially last year's tournament, they were a 7 seed. They were probably underrated as a 7 seed. They upset a couple of teams, according to their ranking anyway. I just think that Tom Izzo is the X factor for that team. He just makes that team so much better.
Mm-hmm. Those two teams seem to be the top in the Big Ten, but, and this is unbelievable to say for any Big Ten sport, Purdue looks like they have a really good team this year.
They do, which is really interesting. Yeah, Purdue hasn't really been a powerhouse team as far as, any sport is concerned, but they're one of those teams that could just sneak up on you. And, the Gophers last season, they couldn't beat them, and that was one of those games where I know some Gopher fans were really surprised by the fact that Minnesota couldn't go to Purdue or take on Purdue anywhere and just beat them. So I think that's one of those sleeper teams that you could see. Is there anything that you can see from Purdue? Or?
Oh, absolutely. I think their front court is unbelievable. You got A.J. Hammonds guarding the rim, and then you add Caleb Swanigan this year. He was a late flip, committed to Michigan State, now is going to Purdue. Could be the Big Ten Freshman of the Year. So I think it's really going to be hard to score on them inside, which is one of the key things you got to do in the Big Ten.
Oh,
but
yeah.
you brought up the Gophers, and here's the sad fact of the year so far. Where do you think the Gophers stack up in this conference?
You mentioned it. You got to be able to score inside. They, with the exception of the phenomenal talent that is Jordan Murphy, they cannot seem to consistently score inside. Bakari Konate is still coming off a pretty big injury. He doesn't look like he's 100%. He can maybe play 5 or 6 minutes and then he looks gassed. It's just one of those things where they don't have a consistent inside threat outside of Jordan Murphy. It's been encouraging to see the last couple of games. Joey King has gone inside a little bit more, but he's still more of a perimeter shooter, and they just can't rebound either, and that's the big problem. You need to be able to rebound, you need to be able to score inside and get into the paint, and that's just not something the Gophers are extremely strong in, and honestly, they're really not a strong offensive team. Their shooting percentages pretty low. Pitino has said time and time again he just doesn't believe that they're a good shooting team, and they need to work on going to the post. And thus far, it's not been the greatest success.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're not a good shooting team. Their front court doesn't seem to stack up. But other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play? The Gophers don't seem to have a lot of hope in conference play this season. So buckle up if you thought last season was rough. This one might get a little bit tougher.